Hey everybody, welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. Today we've got Doug Kenny here to answer a few questions for us.
It's a pleasure to meet you guys. How you guys doing?
Yeah, really good. Hope you're well.
Doing fabulous. It's the evening here in America.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's only like late afternoon here. So that's
Yeah, amazing of the time difference, you know. So yeah, feel free to ask me whatever you want. I'll answer as best as I can.
Cool. So I'll ask a few questions and then Nicole will ask you a few. I'll start with, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from the town of Estes Park, Colorado in the United States of America. It's right next to the Rocky Mountain National Park. So obviously as a kid, I was outdoors a lot of the time.
Wow.
That's very cool.
There's a lot of wilderness and elk and deer and, you know,
wow.
It's and sometimes black bears and maybe even a few grizzlies every now and then.
Oh, goodness. Cool. That's scary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so like, what was your upbringing like?
My upbringing was overall good. Like you, Amber, I'm on the autism spectrum. And so I was diagnosed at age 4 and I was born during the autism epidemic. And so back when people were being diagnosed with it, and it was around the time that autism was first being known about. And, you know, my upbringing was kind of a roller coaster. I had a lot of good memories, a lot of good stories from Estes, but with some sad, unfortunate things every now and then.
Yeah.
Self-inflicted and some not.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so what year would that have been? What year would you have been diagnosed?
I was diagnosed at age 4, so it was let's see, 2001 or 2002.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So it was
2000
really being
it was 2002.
Okay. Yep. So it wouldn't have been sort of a lot. It wouldn't have been talked about as much, would it? Back then?
No. It was ancient times for autism.
Come a long way since then, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's come a long way. And obviously, when I went to school in Estes, again, I had some good memories and some fun times, but I struggled with staff members because, you know, a lot of the teachers that I had were people that came from a different generation on how people viewed behavior, and there was no education on autism, and so they were starting to figure out through struggles that their old ways of doing things with discipline were no longer appropriate.
No, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And also, I've said this before, and I don't think anybody knows this. My kindergarten year in 2003 was actually the last year that I recall where teachers had the authority to spank a student if they misbehaved.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if they did it either way. I don't know if they did it or not, but that's the last that I recall it being allowed.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's good that it was stopped.
Yeah, I can't believe
it's no way to handle a situation.
No, it isn't, you know.
Behavior. Terrible.
But yeah, other than that, though, I did have some good times in my elementary school years and even through middle school, etc. And other than education, however, my upbringing was also really good because I had a lot of fun times. Like I was in a play group for a number of years called Creative Kids, which was a play group located in the school where people hung out after school, and even during summer times we went on field trips every day to places around the Denver region, and so I got to see more Colorado. And then after Creative Kids shut down, I went to a summer camp that my mom introduced me to called Camp Leia, which was basically the same thing, but it took place in Denver. So I got to see even more places I never saw before, like parts of Utah and even Kansas.
Oh, that's so cool.
Great. Yeah, that's good.
And then I went on some pretty memorable vacations. In 2003, I went to Mexico. I went to Thermopolis, Wyoming, where there's some hot springs near the Yellowstone area. And then in 2006, I went to Disneyland.
Yay! That's awesome.
California, and that was my first
best.
LA time.
Wow.
That's cool. Isn't it the best?
That
yes,
is.
and I met Walt Disney, who is a zombie now.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
He's a zombie now.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
That is sick. Oh my God. I love it. Well,
just kidding now but I had a good childhood, I would say.
That's good. That's good. That's very good.
Well, what made you move to Arizona?
I moved to Arizona because of complicated circumstances. I struggled with making connections with people in Estes, and a lot of it was because people didn't quite understand the disorder, and so they didn't look at me good. And the people I went to school with in Estes, I have about 10 people that I'm close to this day from there. But a lot of them, while they didn't dislike me, they didn't dislike me, but they thought I was eccentric because of certain parts of my autism. And so while they didn't hate me, I wasn't their first pick as far as somebody that they would want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that, though, that led to my move. What really led to the move was I just got tired of living in a tiny town. Estes was a very small town where basically everybody knew each other. And so if you told somebody one thing, pretty soon they would get nosy, and they would it would spread around the town, even stuff that you would want to remain private. And my parents didn't like living in that town, but it wasn't just that. The main reason was because my mom got an opportunity to become a top level psychologist in the Phoenix area, which is a much bigger city. And so I had more opportunities than I had in Estes.
Wow. That's good. Yeah.
And I moved to Phoenix in 2012, just after 8th grade ended, leaving behind the Estes life. And I visited Estes in the years afterwards, and I encountered some people in the years afterwards that I went to school with and have some good memories of it.
Cute.
Yeah.
Well, so what was life like in Arizona at first?
At first, it was a little bit of a struggle. I briefly joined a middle school called Walker Butte, but things didn't work out there because of some unfortunate circumstances, and the summer was good, however, other than the middle school. But the summer was good. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Hoover Dam. We went to Meteor Crater. And I met Andy McPhee for the first time in LA.
That's cool.
That is.
That's crazy.
It was a lot of fun. And at the time, though, I was struggling with addiction to soda and junk food and others. And when I first met Andy, he looked at me. He knew my family from the mentorship he did with my brother. And it was just, when he saw me and we met for the first time, he was looking at me and was like, "You need to lose all that weight, Doug, before you have a heart attack."
Wow.
Because I wasn't quite as big as I was in the years afterwards, but I was still pretty big for my age.
Okay. Yep. Wow.
That's Andy, bless him.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So, what was your NASCAR fandom like as a teenager?
I first became a NASCAR fan in 2009. I actually knew about it because at a young age, like when I was in second grade and all that, guys like Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart and all those names were dominating the sport, and Helio Castroneves and IndyCar, and then Michael Schumacher in Formula One, so they were names that I heard about, and it was a situation where even if you didn't know about them, you knew who they were,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I watched the movie Cars, where I learned a little bit about the sport. And
that's the best.
Yeah, Cars, that's a classic movie,
It is.
Crack your dip and fun.
So good.
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh,
Cool.
perfect.
But anyway, I
That's
first
fun.
heard about it through Cars,
Yep.
and then a couple years later, I saw a race on television and became a fan.
Wow.